An AI agent can report success without actually completing the task. This episode gives you a screenshot-ready silent failure checklist for verifying outcomes, required steps, and human takeover beyond a green status light. In July 2026, Amazon Web Services described a method for finding silent behavioral failures across agent sessions. Completion rate, latency, and error dashboards can look healthy while users still receive the wrong outcome. The numbers in the source are product examples and a demo, not a universal failure rate. This episode extracts a reusable human-AI review method. This video is packed with practical, high-value insights to help you get better at using AI. It's a longer one, so follow Tiny Agent and save it so you don't lose it. First, separate system status from task outcome so you can see why an executed label can hide the costliest failures. A successful API call, healthy latency, and no exception only prove that a process ran. They do not prove the user's goal was achieved. The source gives 3 examples. An order modification was never executed. An agent said a product was in stock after the inventory API timed out. And a required approval step was skipped. Each can look technically successful while damaging a transaction, factual accuracy, or a permission boundary. The human's first review is therefore not the green light. Rewrite the goal as an observable outcome. Who receives what, which external state must change, and what evidence proves it happened. Without outcome evidence, the agent's completion claim remains pending acceptance and cannot trigger delivery, payment, or publication. Define that success standard before execution so AI knows what completion means and humans do not invent rules after an incident. Chapter recap. First, runtime success is not outcome correctness. Second, outcomes need observable evidence. Third, completion without evidence remains unaccepted. Next, verify the steps that must occur so you can detect a plausible answer produced by an invalid process. List a small set of non-skippable actions before the task begins. Query live inventory, read the latest order, obtain human approval, then submit the change. The agent can choose wording and low-risk paths, but critical tool calls, approvals, and external writes must leave traceable evidence. If the inventory API times out, the correct response is not a reasonable guess. The agent should mark the fact unknown, stop the promise, and request human takeover. If approval is missing, a later write should fail acceptance even when the API reports success. This does not require a human to inspect private reasoning. It externalizes a few essential guardrails so the record answers what happened, which evidence supported it, and who approved a risky action. Define takeover conditions in advance. Conflicting evidence, unavailable tools, insufficient permission, or an irreversible result should pause automation. Chapter recap. First, name the non-skippable steps. Second, tools, approvals, and rights need evidence. Third, humans take over when facts or risk exceed the boundary. Then expand from one trace to a cross-session pattern so you do not repair one incident while the same failure repeats elsewhere. A trace explains what happened in one session. It does not tell you whether the pattern affected 3 isolated cases or 30% of users. The sources method consumes existing traces, clusters user intent and execution behavior, then ranks patterns by impact so teams can address repeated, severe, and fixable failures first. It covers 11 categories of behavioral problems, including hallucination, incorrect action, task instruction violation, orchestration, and context handling. An independent builder does not need the same product to apply the idea. Record task type, expected outcome, actual outcome, failed step, and whether a human took over, then cluster those records weekly. Always keep the denominator. 3 failures in 10 sessions and 3 failures in 10,000 sessions imply very different priorities. Retest the same task samples before and after a change to learn whether a prompt, tool description, or infrastructure fix reduced that pattern. Chapter recap. First, a trace explains an incident. Second, cross-session patterns reveal scope and priority. Third, matched retests verify the fix. Now follow evidence to the root cause so a bad outcome does not automatically become a prompt rewrite. Start at the result, identify the last incorrect action, then walk backward through tool calls, input, permissions, retries, and context. If the model skipped the inventory tool, its instruction or tool description may be unclear. If the tool timed out and the model answered anyway, error handling and takeover rules may be missing. If the approval node never entered the execution graph, orchestration is the stronger suspect. If the state changed but the receipt was lost, a blind retry can create a duplicate write. Change one primary variable at a time and record quality, error type, time, and cost. One impressive success is not stable reproduction. Payments, deletion, publication, permission changes, and irreversible actions still need human approval and idempotency checks before execution, even after a strong historical success rate. If 2 correction rounds still cannot produce outcome evidence, or the source, permission, or tool state is untrustworthy, stop automation and let a human decide. Chapter recap. First, trace backward from outcome evidence. Second, different causes require fixes at different layers. Third, high-risk actions keep a human gate. Finally, Complete the AI silent failure checklist so you have a reusable acceptance record for an agent workflow. Box 1 records outcome, what the user should receive, which external state changes, and what receipt, page, or data proves it. Box 2 records required steps, which tools must run, which facts cannot be guessed, and which actions need approval. Box 3 records intent and boundary. Did the agent solve the original problem without expanding scope, dropping constraints, or substituting a similar answer for the real result? Box 4 records pattern and impact. How often this failure appeared, the total session count, and which users or risky actions were affected. Box 5 records root cause and repair, prompt, tool description, orchestration, context, or infrastructure. Change one main variable and retest matched samples. Box 6 records takeover. When evidence conflicts, tools fail, permissions are insufficient, or an action is irreversible, who approves, how recovery works, and how duplicate execution is prevented. Screenshot and save this checklist. Use it to verify an agent's completion claim. Chapter recap. First, review outcome and steps separately. Second, use pattern and cause to prioritize repairs. Third, encode human takeover in the workflow. To sum up, an AI agent can report success without actually completing the task. A green status proves that a process ran. Real completion also needs outcome evidence, required steps, boundary alignment, and a traceable external state. Review the single outcome, measure the cross-session pattern, repair the evidenced cause, and hand high-risk, unknown, or irreversible actions to a human. Which kind of successful agent run most often misses the real outcome in your workflow? Tell me in the comments. Follow Tiny Agent. Tiny Agent helps you get better at using AI.